Welcome back to another episode of Pixels to Politics. As always, I'm Blackheart, and tonight I'm joined by both Dougie and Bray. Welcome back, Bray.
Yep.
Tonight we'll be covering social media controversies, the Supreme Court's recent rulings, the Trump versus Biden debate, as well as a few international topics such as North Korea, the U.S. involvement in Ukraine, and even some commercial topics such as Neuralink, Amazon's job automation practices, and other international political shifts that may impact the economy and geopolitical stance around the world. And of course, finally, we'll top it all off with a little bit of Middle Eastern happenings, such as the most recent turn in the Israel versus Hezbollah conflict. Bit of a stocked roster that we have today, boys, but I think we can get through it all right. How are you both doing tonight?
I'm not sick.
That's
Wow,
good.
that's fantastic. I'm so happy for you, Braden.
I feel like
Thank you.
everyone got sick the past 60 days. Everyone I've known got sick. I had a little day myself where I was not feeling too hot.
Yeah, I think it's been something going around. I actually think a lot of the southern states had a little bit of a COVID running around. It seemed like either that or was maybe just some other kind of flu, but yeah, yikes.
Inspired
Wash
me
your
to start
hands.
running again.
Public service announcement. Wash your hands and drink water.
Yeah, and don't go outside.
And don't go outside ever. Just remain in your house. Never
I
leave.
wish. If I could just Uber Eats everything to my home, I probably would never leave my house.
God, if only Uber Eats was like recently decently affordable, but it's so expensive.
One day they'll
Yeah.
replace them with drones. It'll be fine. Little drones that'll just pick up your food and drop it
That's
off.
gonna be that's gonna be kind of pricey too. I mean, it'll not be as much because you won't have the middleman of like the driver, but like you're still going through the middleman of the company operating the delivery drone. There's gonna be some cost unless every restaurant has their own delivery drones and then offers that kind of like to undercut whatever middleman they're going through, and then maybe it'll be affordable then.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just want Amazon Eats already. Just cook a burger, grill a burger, put it on the drone, and then just fly it over.
Hey
Ugh.
guys, did you know that you can actually make food in your own house?
God.
What?
Listen, you need
Huh?
to stop talking, Ryan. You need to stop. You're the reason why fascism is alive and well in year
No,
That is
2024.
not at all true, but okay.
that is
All
actually
right,
true.
all right, all
It is
right.
actually, yeah,
Whoa.
it is, yeah.
Okay. You know what? How about we go on to our
Fascist.
first topic? We're going on to our first topic with the one that Braden was the most excited to talk about: the social media controversies.
Oh yeah.
What?
Oh
No.
yeah.
I what? All right, whatever.
All right, Dougie, you go first. Go ahead and bring
Sure.
this up. This was your
So
brilliant idea, so
so
please
I
enlighten
I
us.
I noticed there were three women, I think, in the past 30 days who got fired for things they said or had done on social media.
I'm sure
From
there's a lot more than three women in the world that were fired for things they said or did, but you're right
yes,
that there were three
Well, a lot of
popularized.
women probably die. I mean, people die every second, so
Yeah.
it's true.
they can't
Well,
work anymore because they're dead.
They didn't go viral for being dead. So
Well, I mean, you're not wrong.
but you're right. There are three high-profile cases of it. You're right. So would you like
Correct.
to maybe enlighten us as to which ones those were? Which women you're referring to? What they were, I guess, made infamous for?
right. So one of them was a Oilers fan who flashed the crowd. Um, and that is what she did. She flashed the crowd. There was another one who
Terrible.
uh uh dropped the N word, soft R or something. I don't know. Um, and the third one, where we're gonna play because I want us to watch it. I think it's the most benign, and yet she still kind of suffered the same fate as the other two, which depending on how you feel about public nudity and okay.
What's one move in bed that makes a man go crazy every time?
Oh, you gotta give him that hawk and spit on that thing.
Say what?
Okay.
Thank you, Stewie.
Right. So,
Yes, the
anyways,
infamous Hawk Tuah girl. Yes,
uh,
I've seen that everywhere. I
most
cannot escape it.
most people probably have. I mean, it went pretty viral. I don't know. Like, I think he was very innocent. But however, so she's a teacher, and that video of her saying that went viral. And she got fired. She got fired from being a teacher. She's relatively like private person. Um, but now she's kind of been forced to capitalize on being in the limelight. She sells merchandise and stuff now. But I
Yeah.
was curious as to what you guys thought on this kind of wave of, you know, getting getting fired, or you know, the repercussions of what you say and post on the internet. At least, obviously, you know, from severity to something I think that's just innocent. But you know, curious.
I mean, if you look at it from a legal standpoint, you have all these different monikers of, they signed so and so contract or so and so NDA, and their contract states that they need to be employed for blah blah blah, and it's subject to this and that in terms of whether or not they get released from their contract or it gets terminated early based on whatever clause. But if you want to look at it from like a realistic standpoint, at the end of the day, anything you have can be taken away. Like, it doesn't matter, whether it's a job or anything else, it can be taken away based on extenuating circumstances. And social media is definitely an extenuating circumstance. If you say something on social media and it becomes viral, it doesn't really matter. Like, your job, like, your boss isn't really going to care about necessarily about what you do, but they are going to care about how the public perceives what you do and how the people at your workplace might interact with you differently based on that, which would obviously be the students in this case. And I think, the students would obviously, because I think she worked at like a middle school or something, and the students obviously would be more inclined to make jokes about it, or have less respect for the teacher, or to, it would create just a whole host of problems, I think. And so I don't blame the school for doing that whatsoever. And she has capitalized on it. I think she's made at least 100,000 at this point, which is a decent chunk of money, a lot more than she was probably making before as a teacher. So if anything, I'm grateful. I'm glad she's doing better. But that's just my
So
opinion.
I was actually kind of looking into it. I actually don't think the Hawk Tuah girl was fired from her job. Fun fact.
Really?
No, that was listed on a parody page, or a page that was listed as satire. So she's not a preschool teacher, and she's also not been fired from her job. So she did an interview, I think, yesterday, and she's like, she kind of clarified some things and was like, I'm actually I work in a spring factory. I'm not a school teacher. I haven't been fired, but she is monetizing, or has a lot of opportunities to monetize the publicity, or sort of infamous reputation she's gotten. Like, remember when like Belle Delphine was like selling like gamer girl bathwater? She's been offered to like spit in a jar and sell it for $600 a pop. That was proposed to her. So you know,
Oh, the other chick, the Oilers chick who flashed the crowd, she actually got a Playboy signing. So
of course she did.
she did a photo shoot. Um, yeah, I mean,
Nice.
Yeah.
it
I
did
mean, I
kind
So
don't
of.
Hawk,
know.
yeah, so Hawk
Oh
Tuah
my
girl did not
fucking
get
god.
fired. Hawk Tuah girl did not get fired. But like, if
Okay.
she had been a preschool teacher, it's, I think, feasible to think that she may have been. It
Yeah.
wouldn't be the first time that a teacher has been fired for either a parent or a student or another faculty member discovering they had private adult content.
Yeah,
Like,
I like, so I think the solution here is for just conventionally attractive women to just make a TikTok and then do something incredibly controversial in front of a large crowd. I think that's the ultimate solution to making money.
I don't know about that, but I do think more people should participate in content creation, because it does feel like a lottery where everyone kind of has a chance, and you never really know what's gonna pop off. I mean, how many women are flashing their tits on the internet? I mean,
A
like a
lot.
lot, right? So
I
the
wouldn't
fact,
know. I've never
Or
looked.
did they
of
do it at an
course, of
Oilers
course.
game?
But yeah, like they do it at a random Oilers game, and all of a sudden it goes viral, and she gets a Playboy photo shoot. She gets a lot of interviews. There are people trying to pay her to go to more games, or they were anyway, because it was like the one game they had won or something, and they had lost the next one that she didn't go to. So it
Oh
is.
my
I don't know.
god.
I think everyone should participate in content creation, just because you never really know what's gonna go viral. Um, but it is really funny that these people, at least two of them, kind of suffered. They got fired from their jobs and ended up making probably way more money than they were making at their jobs. Or
Yeah.
even the Hawk Tuah girls, has the opportunity to make more money here than she's. Would you say she's working at a spring factory?
Yeah.
No.
I
At
mean,
least that's what her claim is.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, good for them, to be honest with you. I don't think them getting fired is really too big a deal, to be honest. For them, it's actually kind of just like whatever. They probably didn't even really need the jobs. I think the woman, like, if you look at the woman that dropped the M-bomb, it's kind of like, well, she's already working in fast food, so she ain't losing too
Yeah.
much money from that. So it's like, whatever.
She risked it all and got rewarded.
Yeah,
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 I will say
literally.
I think it like yeah, these 3 examples were all women, but I think the same would have happened to like if it had been men. Like if it had been a men using a slur, they likely would have been fired from their job. If it was
Except
a
they
dude who
would
flashed his
probably
dick
have a
out, like
following.
he would have been fucking kicked out or fired.
Yeah.
But
They would not have had any sponsorship deals or any sort of income afterwards. They would probably just be lambasted, and that'd be the end of it, to be honest.
oh yeah, no, I have a feeling that like if a dude like flashed at a hockey game, or like any sporting event, like they would be like put on like a sex offender list. And granted though, like there's like the difference in like the sexualization of like breast versus like actual genitalia. So like maybe it would have been different if she had like pulled her pants down or something. I don't know. I don't know if we really want to get into all that, but point is, I feel like the guy would have suffered consequences, but I think maybe it's appropriate to kind of go like, oh, would they have gotten the like the kickback on the other end though? Like, would they have been given fame? I think you're right to kind of say like, no, probably not.
Nope.
Probably
No,
not.
they would not. And that's just how life is.
It is what it is, as they say.
It is what it is.
Hmm.
Men,
I don't
all men
know.
need to do is buy cryptocurrency. That's all men need to
Oh
do.
God,
Just
please.
purchase cryptocurrency.
You mean the currency that dropped 10K in like a week?
Listen,
You talking about
yeah,
that
it
one?
drops.
And that
Yeah, it
hasn't
Buy the
dropped.
dip,
recovered yet?
dude. Buy the dip. Buy the
Yeah,
dip.
buy the dip. Literally, just
In
buy the
in
dip.
your defense, you should buy the dip and then sell once. I mean, now's a good time, but there's an obvious correlation between Israel and one of its
How did we get
neighbors
to
getting
Israel?
into. I'll tell you why. Because I have some cryptocurrency, and I notice every time Israel and their neighbors announce they're gonna kill each other, all of a sudden the currency drops 10K, and I'm just like, oh, okay. So if I just buy right before or if I buy after Israel threatens somebody, I can make a lot of money on its recovery. So,
Exactly.
but
Wonder
yeah,
how much the crypto. Yeah. Oh,
huh?
good.
I was just gonna say. So Hezbollah, who is what is it, Yemen, who's above them, or I think it's Yemen, right?
Yeah.
It's the country above. I don't. It might not be Yemen. Yemen, I think it's south.
Yes,
But
Yemen's in the south.
Lebanon. Sorry, Lebanon. Lebanon is north. Hezbollah is a partial governing body in Lebanon, which is it borders northern Israel. Um, they have kind of always been fighting since their creation. It's just kind of normal. They've exchanged attacks all the time. And Israel's response has pretty much always been, if you keep it up, we're going to kill you and we're going to invade you and kill you. Um, and it sort of seems like that has a strong possibility of coming to fruition within the next month here. The U.S. says it'll be about a month. The EU says it'll be shorter. Both are telling their citizens to get the hell out or at least go north. Yeah, so we are seeing a escalation in the conflict in the region, which I guess I don't know if that's surprising or not, but to me it doesn't feel surprising at all. Also, it's not something that was talked about, but the war cabinet, Netanyahu's war cabinet has disbanded. It's basically just him at this point, and whatever right wing people he had with him, they're pretty much running the whole country and war. They have pretty much complete control at this point. Not that the citizens seem to really care all that much. They are very much kind of for this. They have suffered the attacks for quite a while. They're tired of it. They pretty much are encouraging the behavior. Obviously, not all of them feel that way, but it does seem like it's a majority. There's been a lot of polls. So yeah, just war in the Middle East, kind of normal. But
Yeah.
yeah, here we are.
I stand with Israel. I stand with Israel.
I feel like
Dear God, God bless Israel.
you
Right
swapped
hand on my
sides.
heart.
I
What?
thought
No, I've always been with Israel. Listen, Israel is doing the right thing. They need to defend their land against the incoming terrorists. The terrorists are attacking them. Gaza needs to be retaken. It needs to happen. Israel needs to build the Ben Gurion Canal. This has to happen. I will stand with Israel to the end.
Did they
To
get
the
to your
absolute end.
Did they get to your family or something? Is that what's going on? They threaten you?
Listen, I don't you dare make claims like that. I
I
love Israel with all my heart. Zionism is the only true path towards the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay
Ryan,
then.
are you a
That's
Zionist? Pick your side. Which side are you on? Pick one. Pick one. You have to pick one.
no, I don't.
What?
Oh,
That's crazy.
then you are against Israel, and we'll be meeting each other on the political battlefield, sir.
Oh boy. Oh boy, not the realm of resolutes or absolutes, whatever. Absolute resolutes. Goodness.
I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I just know that you're not on my team.
Yeah, the good
My
old
team.
George W. Bush. If you're not with us, you're against us. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't. I don't really have to have a skin in the game on that one.
You don't.
I think you do.
You do not.
I
As
I
much as
don't. I
people
don't
try and
really.
as much as people love to try and force everyone to pick a side in every conflict on the planet, you do not have to pick a side. You don't have to
No,
say one is
you
more
could
wrong
always
or
just
right than
die
the other.
to you could die to Israel's bombs. That's okay. You could lose. You could just die. It's okay. We'll win.
I think they have more important things going on than caring about my opinion of what they're doing.
Yeah, like Charlie Sheen, they're winning. They're winning. That's what they're doing right now.
They are
That's
winning. What I thought was so fascinating was that, like, we went through a week period, maybe it was like 2 weeks, where it was hashtag save Gaza, whatever. We had all the protests, we had all the excitement, and people were going crazy. Well, I mean, the invasion hasn't ended. It's still continued. As a matter of fact, I think as of the past few days, the tanks have rolled back in the north and the south. And now we have this whole Lebanon incident going on, and it's just, people just don't care anymore. It's just, well, okay, fuck it. Like, and I know we talked about this a few times where we like get into this cycle of just moving past conflicts really quick, and it's just like the quick BuzzFeed of the week or the month. And I mean, now we have like arguably an escalating stage where people should maybe be a little more worried or interested. And fuck it, who cares? Whatever.
w- Israel is attempting to prevent a second Holocaust. That is what's happening right now.
That is kind of what they're always doing, yeah.
Yeah, they have to prevent this. Otherwise, it will be a Holocaust. The Hamas will attack. I'm not saying the Muslims are bad. I'm saying Hamas is bad, and there's a lot of Hamas terrorists inside of Gaza. So, they want a Holocaust against the Jewish people. So we have to protect the Semites. We Americans have to protect the Semites in Israel from this ongoing force that's trying to create this Holocaust. The Hamas people of Hamas.
Yeah, I mean, what's important to know is that Hamas and Hezbollah are both, they're pretty much Iran proxies. They're like extensions of the Iranian extremists. So, I mean, like, what? So, I mean, like, we've just seen escalation, right? Ryan, as a member of the military, what do you think? Should we be worried? Do we sweat a little? What do you think happens here? How ugly does it get? Does it get better? Do we just like blink our eyes and it's over? What do you think?
Um, banana bread.
Fair enough, dude. All right, well, we can move on to Europe, where we have more escalating behavior. Um, I guess I don't know. It's kind of depend on how you feel about this, but North Korea has officially said that they're going to send troops to help Russia.
And then in a following
Aren't their
statement,
troops
North Korea
starving?
said they were going to send weapons to go help Ukraine. Amazing. Wow. So
Yes,
good.
yes. I
Aren't
mean,
their troops like starving? Don't they have to? Aren't they like starving and weak?
well, that's probably how they'll get paid is with Russian food. Um,
I'm not sure how much that'll feed them. Vodka and crackers isn't going to do a whole lot for them.
The
probably do.
expired MREs.
Yeah, I don't know if those will help either.
It'll probably do more than the crickets they fucking eat and they have to fight for over in their actual homeland. So I thought it was very interesting. I mean, I don't know if we've ever seen behavior like that before from North Korea, where they like just start sending troops outside their country. But yeah, I
I
mean
mean,
that's.
it's definitely new. It's not like it's not a usual thing for them to do. I think there's a reason behind it.
I mean, yeah, I mean there's probably a lot of exchanges going on between the two where they're promising each other stuff. I know Russia promised to help get their satellite program off the ground. I'm sure there's a lot more that they're offering. They've declared an alliance. So they're sending troops. In response, South Korea said that they would send weapons to Ukraine. This is kind of abnormal for South Korea because they South Korea has held. It's the same with Israel actually. Both South Korea and Israel, they had some mutual interests with Russia, and so they kind of tried their best not to get involved. Um, Obviously, South Korea is kind of close to Russia, and that's not really in their interest to piss them off. And Israel, I think they had similar interests when it came to Syria. I believe, I might be wrong, but so it is kind of abnormal for South Korea to support Ukraine. But yes, at this point, there's a lot of sides being declared, and you can see it. It's very obvious, like that's happening. Um, and true story, maybe not a lot of people know this. South Korea actually is quite the tank developer. They actually produce quite a bit of tanks.
Yeah,
Um,
tanks are kind of like F tier, D tier to be honest at this point. Aircraft is kind of S tier if we're being honest here.
I think they also produce aircraft. I might be wrong, but I think they had their
Aircraft
own.
is far more valuable than tanks. Like I'm sorry, it's just far more valuable.
Well, they promise 8. I'm sure it's not going to be limited to just whatever they promise, but they have officially entered into helping support Ukraine. So we have escalation. I mean, we have escalation here. We also had the Ukrainians use an ATACMS missile, a ballistic missile. Did you guys hear about that? It struck.
I think we talked about that last
Did
section
we?
or 2 seconds ago, did we? Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So yes, I have heard about it. And hey, if you haven't heard about it thus far, go check out 2 episodes ago. We talked about literally the same fucking topic.
ad plug.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, what do you guys think? Just from a global kind of viewpoint, what do you guys think's going on
Mm.
here? Bad, good, normal, don't
I,
care, care?
I mean, like obviously I don't care, but let's start talking about it, right? Let's start talking about it.
Sure.
And it's like, um, right now the only thing that really matters, like Ukraine is kind of irrelevant. We've kind of just been throwing money at them. It's just kind of weird how much money we've been throwing at them. And then it's like, well, I mean, I guess we've invested enough money into them already. We may as well continue to protect it to prevent Russia from messing with our NATO allies
We call that
for
sunk
sure.
cost fallacy, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
Listen, sunk cost fallacy is fine when you're printing money. That's what the American government does. They just print money. So money is quite literally no object at this point. So Taiwan is worth protecting as well because they make most of our computer chips and processors. And the iPhone 17 does need to release at some point, and the only way we get to have our iPhone 17 is with Taiwan. So yeah, you need to protect that as well. And then everything after that, North Korea is kind of just irrelevant, to be honest. They're kind of just like there. They're like they're like an intentional feeder on your team. That's kind of what they're like. They just make things worse for everyone. Yeah, so
mm,
that's just my opinion.
that's fair. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't. I guess we're not. Obviously, we're not at the point where Americans give a fuck. Um, there, they, there have been increased alertness, I guess, on military bases across the West due to suspected terrorist attacks. So that's interesting. Um, but yeah, it doesn't seem like most people give a fuck until it impacts them
Unless it
directly.
affects me. Yep, unless it affects me directly, I do not care.
Right.
Except if it's Israel. If it's Israel, we must protect Israel at all costs. The Iron Dome is not enough. We need to send more foreign aid over to Israel. I know we have lobbyists in our country. I'm calling to protect the Semites in Israel. Anti Semitism is on the rise, and we need to put a stop to this immediately.
Oh my god. Uh, I think there are, besides the terrible fact that Ukrainians are dying, I think there are only positives that come with helping Ukraine and stopping Russia or slowing them down as much as possible. We've obviously done quite a bit of damage to the Navy. There's a lot of learning battlefield wise. I mean, you want to keep your front line as far away from your homeland as possible, at least from the U.S. perspective, and obviously from the EU's perspective. So, at the same time, if war does break out, you you need your manufacturing to be at a high level, and the U.S. can't really do that without purpose. So by supporting Ukraine, we get our manufacturing up and running. Uh, I don't know, just like all preparation for big stuff.
I'm gonna be really cozy if a war starts.
You
I'm
would
gonna
be
be really,
cozy?
really. Oh,
Oh yeah.
super cozy. You have
Why is
no
that?
idea. First thing I do is I'd rent a boat. I go into the boat. I go fishing. I grab a shotgun and I shoot both of my feet off. I go home. I go to the hospital, obviously, because both my
Oh.
feet are gone. Right?
Mhm.
They have to put me in a wheelchair because I can't walk, obviously. Right? I go home. I submit for disability because there was a boating accident and I lost both of my feet. Right? And then knock knock knock. Hey, we're here to draft for the war. Oh, guys, you just missed it. My feet are gone. I
How
don't
old are
know what
you?
to 27.
Hey, you're too old for the first round of the draft.
That's the first round. We already know the Zoomers are gonna die off really quick anyway. It's not gonna be too long before they're gone.
Yeah, the first round of the draft, we get to avoid it. But
That second round's gonna come real
the
quick. It's
second
gonna be
round,
three.
second round will get us for sure. Oh yeah.
Yeah, second round get us. Yeah, yeah. Once the 3 month mark hits, they're gonna realize that all the Zoomers are gone.
I
So
mean,
then
hell,
they're
you
gonna
guys
have
are
to rely.
actually more gonna be on like the third round because what they'll do is they'll like recall prior enlisted and like prior commissioned officers to go and fill the void first. So you're really more like maybe 3 or 4 rounds down. So
Wow.
You know,
You're lucky.
Ryan, I really thought that would have been a banana bread moment for you because you're really not supposed to say stuff like that and encourage people to live in this country. But that's fine. That's fine.
no, it's like a real thing though. Like that's an unclassified like like when you get out of the military, you're kind of like held in retention for a certain period where they're like, hey, you can be recalled at any time. So like, don't go getting obese. Don't go like getting yourself mega hurt because like if something pops off, we're just gonna call you all up. It's like the same thing with the reserves. You're basically like force put into reserves depending on how long you served or if you didn't get to a certain length of time. They'll be like, all right, we'll let you get out now, but if something happens, you're going to have to come back and, you're going to be the first ones called up before we dig into, drafting people. So,
Wow. So it'd be an excellent decision to literally not only would you get veteran benefits, you'd also get disability benefits from shooting off both your feet. That's great. I
I
should have
think there's a
joined the
lot
military.
easier ways to earn 100% disability in the military. I'm going to be honest.
What's the easiest?
Banana bread.
Yeah, I expected that one.
Wait, what?
Can't tell you
Yeah,
that. What the hell?
all I'll say is that like you don't need to like lose a limb to get 100% disabilities. Like there is a lot of conditions that you can be like approved for or that you could have developed over your time in service that will get you to 100% disability that like if you looked at me, you'd probably be like, "Oh, he's like perfectly healthy," but like if I answered certain questions in a certain way or they tested me and found something that like I didn't know about, then like I could qualify for like 40, 50, 60 higher percent disability. You'd be surprised.
I probably wouldn't, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So if I was like, oh, okay, ever since I joined the military, now I'm ocean phobic. I'm afraid of the ocean. I'm afraid of squirrels. I have ADHD, depression, and PTSD. How much?
So
What?
I don't think phobias are covered under like the disability stuff, but depression would be. Hearing loss is another really common one, or I like loss of vision.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Which again, you get to keep all your limbs. It's just maybe you don't hear as well, or maybe you're just not seeing all right. But yeah,
Interesting.
And they'll just give me money.
I mean, it's not just giving you money. I mean, you would have
Is it?
you would have I mean, you would have been, serving your country, right? So it's not just free money, it's the government taking care of you for going above and beyond to, serve the country and, do whatever it was that you were required to do in the military service. Because if you
Listen,
get
if I
yourself hurt, like you should be compensated. Like the same thing would happen in the civilian world, as long as your employee or your employer isn't like totally, screwing you over.
honestly, I disagree. I think if you get hurt in the military, that's a skill issue. You just gotta
Mm.
you just gotta cover the cost yourself.
Yeah,
You're the same type of person who's gonna yell, "This is a bot lobby" before charging the enemy position.
Yeah,
that's because
it
it
is a bot
actually
lobby.
is a bot lobby.
Yeah. It's literally like their names are all in Chinese. What are we talking about here? Of course I'm inting. I'm not letting them rank up. What are we talking about right now?
Okay. Okay. All right.
All
Very
right,
good.
let's get to the big old topic that fucking broke world news because everyone loves to watch the U.S. election, including foreigners. Did you guys watch the presidential debate at all? I'm
Oh,
sure you
of
saw
course.
memes at the
It
least.
helped me figure out who I was voting for.
Why do I doubt that intensely?
Well, what do you mean? Listen, I watched it.
The rematch of the century is here. The one that most Americans don't want. But we got it anyway because God bless America.
Back by popular demand.
Backed by popular demand. Yeah, I don't know about that one, Chief, but it's
Back by
here.
popular demand.
Yeah, I
So
don't know. I'm voting for RFK.
okay.
Oh man, the wild card.
Unless Matt sends me an Uber Eats for a steak. If he sends me Uber Eats for a steak, I'll vote for Biden.
Oh, is he a big Biden fan? I
Yeah.
thought so. One time I brought up Trump and he was like, "Damn it!" He just lost his mind. He was so angry about it.
Yeah, Matt's an NPC, but I love him for it.
I just love how emotional people get when I bring up Trump. I could just say his name and it instantly triggers at least half the room. Half the room starts foaming at the mouth. And they don't even
Yeah.
know why. They're fucking lost it. The AI has fucking manipulated their little brain cells so that
Yeah.
you know what Pavlov's conditioning? When he
Dog.
rings the
Yeah,
bell, the
Pavlov
dog
conditioning.
starts drooling. That's them. You
Yeah.
say Trump's name.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see Matt doing that. I think Matt grew up in like a Democrat household where he grew up believing that voting Democrat like helped out his family. So now he just does it as like a instinctual thing at this point. It's just like he's just conditioned to vote that way. And the
It's
funniest
so
part is
funny.
the vote won't even matter because Florida is pretty much always going to be a Republican state.
Yeah. Oh man. But well, whatever. I watched the whole debate with like 3 other people, and man, we just laughed the whole time. It was so funny. I mean, it was a little depressing like halfway through, but I don't know. It's one of the things I don't understand about Biden is he has these like really lucid moments where like okay, so during the debate, if you watched it, he was out of it. He was in his classic fucking dementia Joe
Yeah, he's in
state
the
where
clouds.
yeah, like
Cloudy.
there was
That's what I call it.
straight up a whole ass moment where he's trying to answer a question on like Medicare or something, and he goes, "We beat Medicare," and then Trump goes, "I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did beat Medicare.
Yeah.
You beat it to death."
Yeah.
It was so funny, dude. I was dying. I was rolling, bro. It was so funny. Poor Biden's like, we beat Medicare." Dude, I was
Yeah.
dead. Oh my god.
The only thing I was shocked about was that I think he said he was a handicap 6 in golf, which is
Yeah.
crazy. I was like, "Oh my god, handicap 6. That's what the country needed to hear right now." That was the resolution we needed. I needed to know what Biden's handicap was.
They
Wait,
I
have
have a
asked
they
him.
like?
feeling
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
So yeah, they asked him the fucking reporters or whatever the hell they're called
Moderators, but yeah.
the moderators. They asked them um something about mental health
Yeah, they asked
decline.
Trump, like,
Trump,
hey,
yeah.
how do you feel about your mental and physical health? And he's like, I feel great. I just went and won like 2 club championships in
Hmm.
golf or whatever for my age group or whatever. And then, you know,
They
he
started
and Biden
ranting
got
about
into like
golf.
this weird, not at all coherent argument about who golfed better. And that was another moment where, Biden's like, how do I had a handicap? And it's like, what? Like,
It's
I
so
just want to know,
sad
like,
and funny at the same time.
so like,
yeah.
I will admit, I was one of those people that like for a while, like I'd see the memes about like President Biden like being a little like not with it, and I'd think like, oh, this is just like satire, like maybe it's like an AI video or something. But like that shit was live, and it was just like really hard to watch because it's like, man, how the fuck can your party or your family be like, yeah, man, we see you like this, and we're gonna put you up there to run this country? It's like, what? Like, did your family hate you? Like,
I think
is
it's
this
pretty
just a
funny.
big prank? Like, what is going on?
Honestly, I
Is
think
there
it's kind of
nobody else?
deserved.
Like, get Gavin Poop some up there, dude. Come on.
He did. He did poop. He had a diaper on.
No,
All right, that's not
Gavin
confirmed.
Newsom.
All right, let's call. Okay, get the tinfoil hat out if you're gonna make that claim, Braden. Come on.
So
Okay.
I think it's been like really obvious to lots of people that he's not really mentally there, whether you like that or not. But I think this presidential debate really showed everyone else because I mean it was obviously done by CNN. You know, it was live streamed. Like nobody could really deny it anymore that it was taken out of context or anything. I mean, like you had hundreds of millions, maybe even more people watching this shit across the globe all at the same time. So there was they didn't even try to cover it up. Literally, Obama posted on Twitter like, "Oh, geez, bad debate nights happen. Not a big deal. We'll cover it." And it was just like, dude, if your ex-president who you were VP under is saying that shit, that's not a good look, bro. Like, that is not good. So I
No.
think it's become like quite hard for I think anyone at this point to fucking deny the fact that this poor old man is just he's got dementia,
Gone.
man. He's
Well,
just
it should
gone.
have been his party should have recognized the risk when they, put him forward, as the nominee a few years ago. But in the second round, like the only reason this is hard, like if this was his first time running for president, like he didn't win in if he didn't win in 2020, he would not be the nominee. I feel like he would have been torn apart on the campaign trail trying to earn the nomination. He's only being put forward as a presidential candidate because he's the incumbent, which is such a huge advantage. It's a huge skill issue if you drop it.
Well, the
Trump.
thing is, and let's be honest here, he only won because of the mail-in ballots. The mail-in ballots were cheesed. They literally did a
I'm
cheese
not. No.
strategy.
I
I was watching it happen in real time, which is a good strategy. No, don't get me wrong. I love APAC. I love APAC. I think it was a good strategy. I think they should do it again. Even I want a COVID 2. I want Fauci to go back up on the stand. We need COVID 2.0. That's what we need. We need more mail-in ballots this time. We need twice as many as last time. I don't
So,
think there was enough last
you
time.
just want
Actually.
Uber Eats to be cheaper. That's why you want another COVID, Braden. Stop it.
Actually, I want $1,600 again too. Don't forget.
yeah, hey, I'll take that, dude. Hey, I'll take that one.
So listen,
Hey,
so APAC lobbyists, can we get COVID 2.0 rolling? We can
they
run with
won't.
monkeypox.
They
Do the
won't.
monkeypox thing.
They
Come
won't.
on.
You know why? Because Trump is way more Trump may have like caught on to the way to win, and all of a sudden he was like, after he watched during the debate, he was like, "Yeah, I want Israel to go more. I want them to do more." So, hey, we already know who's gonna win, boys.
Now, I mean, Biden's also wait. Actually, no. Now that
No,
you mention it,
Biden's kind of been on the opposite foot where he's like holding back a little bit. He's like, hey, we'll support you, but you're doing a little too much. Calm down. Trump was like, get him, Austin,
yeah.
get him.
Israel wins again. Israel number one. Never
Yeah.
forget that, boys. Israel number one. Never forget.
Trump figured it out. He understands now. He gets it. He's like, oh, okay. All I gotta do is
Yeah,
support Israel. I win.
exactly. Yeah, and if we need to, if need be, we can use the monkeypox thing. We can bring up the monkeypox. Everyone can wear the masks again. We can bring Fauci back on the stand. Everything will be pretty solid.
Well, it's actually really funny you bring that up because the Supreme Court has gotten pretty busy this past month. Maybe I mean they've been busy since probably this past year, but they've done a lot of crazy rulings in just this past week and maybe like a half. So the one of the first things they did was they declared it okay for government agencies to take down posts on social media as long as it was for disinformation. So that is verbatim what it was. Obviously, it's very broad, and
Yeah, it's way too broad.
yeah, it's very broad. There's a lot of problems with that. So I'm talking about COVID. COVID is probably the biggest one where we saw a lot of censorship on the internet, like direct censorship. Coming from just the normal federal agencies, just the ones
I think the
that don't
vaccine was
normally
effective.
have that much power.
I think the vaccine was effective, and I'm glad everyone got the vaccine.
No, it whether it was effective or not, I don't know, but I will say the amount of side effects that people are coming to terms with and realizing that it had.
That's a conspiracy theory.
I don't think it is. I don't think it can be classified as a conspiracy theory
It's a
anymore.
conspiracy theory. Yep. I'm sorry. It's a
Look,
conspiracy
Mm.
theory.
it's on the news, so therefore it must be true.
I
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
I don't okay like I don't have enough evidence compiled by a federal agency to say that it's real or not, but I will say there seems to be a lot of evidence that that thing had a lot of adverse side effects. I think their cancer rates are up like some fucking ridiculous 400%. Heart attacks are up. There's a lot of evidence of blood clotting from it. They're just pulling out a fucking. I mean, it's so gross, but whatever. There's a lot of adverse side effects. Talking about COVID, by the way, is super fucking risky for this exact reason. Um, this ruling, they will if you say anything wrong, bad about COVID, like wrong that they assume is wrong, they'll just take your shit down. So we cannot say
Oh,
COVID was.
goodbye episode.
Yeah,
I
this
mean,
episode might be fucked.
I think the solution is to just not make up conspiracy theories, Doug. I
My
think
bad.
that's your
I apologize. But
Yeah, keep
You
your
should,
tinfoil
absolutely.
hat out next time. Come on.
next time you should just tell the truth and not be a liar.
Yeah.
my fault. I apologize. Um, but yeah, so that ruling came out, and it does give them power to take away disinformation, which I thought
mean,
was interesting.
yeah, yeah. Like honestly, it only really affects social media applications that aren't Twitter. If we're being honest.
um, mm, maybe okay. So it does. There are like two things that I think are attached here. So they also diminish the power of federal agencies. There's a really famous ruling. I can't remember what the fuck it's called now, but it's set precedent for 40 years now. And basically it gave a lot of power to federal agencies to decide uh, what was true and what was untrue and what needed to be done about this, about different topics. Um, I'm trying to remember what it was specifically. There was a fishing company and the EPA. I think it was the EPA or something similar. They were charging this poor like fishing company. It was a smaller company, like $800 a day, uh, um, for their service, even though they weren't doing anything. And I forced them to close. And this kind of encompasses COVID because they defaulted, our government, our legislative government, Congress, defaulted to the CDC in terms of setting, like rules in place for COVID, right? This law that has existed for 40 years pretty much now gives us power to challenge these rulings, which we couldn't do before. Basically, if you were a person and they tell you to wear a mask because the CDC guy says you have to that it works and you have to wear a mask, you can't go out in public otherwise. You couldn't challenge that as a citizen. The courts themselves couldn't take that case. But now that this 40-year law has been overturned, you can now challenge it. You can challenge the federal agencies. So we had these two laws come into play at the same time where they said, okay, disinformation, you guys can take down disinformation. However, the people can challenge whether or not that was disinformation or not, among other things. We can now challenge these things. So I thought it was pretty interesting, the combination. I've kind of fucked with the Supreme Court. I think they've been really good at sticking with the Constitution as much as possible. Um,
I don't think we should be trying to question the federal government. I think they're doing everything in our own best interest.
I think they are too. I just think sometimes they don't actually know what's in our
Well,
best interest.
why are you concerned with questioning them?
I didn't say I was. I'm just reporting news. That's all I'm doing. I'm literally just
Listen,
saying
Doug, I
words
think you're
and
trying
saying
to. I
facts.
think you're trying to skew the opinion and the perspective of the audience. Listen,
No?
viewers, you should always trust the federal government. They are always operating in your best interest.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
Hmm. Well, either way, this happened, and it's not even the end. The Supreme Court also has given immunity to Trump, but not just Trump. They've given presidential immunity to what they've decided are actions taken under like professional actions done by the president. Official was the word they use. Official actions done by the president give them presidential immunity. They are immune, essentially giving Trump presidential immunity for whatever the fuck took place on January 6th.
Oh yeah, that's right. They tried. I think they tried to convict him or something. So now, I don't think he's going to be arrested at this point, or I shouldn't say arrested, placed in prison.
So they have to decide whether or not what he did was official or not. So basically, they said, look, if it's an official action done by the president, then you are immune. If it's not, then you're not immune. And so they've left it up to the lower courts to figure out if it was an official action or not. And then that will decide whether or not he's in trouble. So we're still kind of like waiting on that. And basically, what they predict is going to happen is that they're not going to be able to figure it out on a lower court, and it's going to go right back up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is going to have to figure out whether or not it was an official action. So, whoo! Supreme Court has been busy. They've been really busy.
I call him the Cave Jedi.
The Cave Jedi.
Yeah, that's why I call him the Cave, because I thought whenever I think of the Supreme Court, I think of a bunch of people in robes just sitting there in a dark room discussing things. So I call him the Cave Jedi.
They kind of are. I mean, they spend
Yeah.
a lot of time. I don't know about in a dark room. They spend a lot of time in a room discussing things.
I would make it dark. If it were me, it would be ambient at the very absolute minimum. It'd be ambient lighting. I would not have fluorescent lighting like Walmart inside of our quote unquote cave for discussing things. It would be ambient.
Well, I know a lot of people are on the fence about this. I've seen a lot of reporters say this is an attack on. Well, I mean, these are all like three different circumstances that set off tons of opinions. But I think the biggest one is the impact on federal agencies, in terms of weakening them. I see a lot of people say that's really bad. I see a lot of people say it's really good. I personally think it's pretty good. I think federal agencies have kind of overstepped their mark just a little bit in some areas. They become very politicized, and that's not a good look. And again, with COVID, I think we saw a lot of mistakes, maybe some misinformation, maybe some misunderstandings, maybe some rash actions taken a little too quickly before all the facts were out. And that's unfortunate. And I think this will kind of help prevent. At least it'll make people more liable for what is done, and it'll give us, the people, a chance that if we think something's incorrect or we know something's incorrect, to fight back a little bit. We saw a lot of professors and doctors and well-known surgeons and a lot of really smart minds in the field kind of get shut down very quickly when they said anything bad about the COVID vaccine, or even like COVID stuff in general. And they were pretty much using the precedent of being able to shut down disinformation. And yeah, I don't know. I like a balance where at least they can be tested. At least there can be some questions asked, because obviously they didn't. They changed their policies more than once, so clearly they didn't know everything at the start, right?
I don't know. I don't know about that one. I think policies are often made by people who are smarter than us, and we should always trust them.
Were they blackmailing your cat, dude? They said they threatened your cat or what?
Listen, I don't know what you're talking about, Doug. I think you're a conspiracy theorist at this point. You need to start putting on the tinfoil hat. No one's attacked me. No one's blackmailed me. All right. Listen, I'm operating on free institutional will.
That's good. They promised you money. I feel like that would probably be what they do to get you.
Doug, I don't discuss my finances. I don't even discuss my finances with my cat, Doug. But I can assure you, no one has given me any money.
Oh, okay.
I've not been paid to say anything. I do have a splinter in my toe.
Okay. Ryan, any thoughts?
Okay, got it out.
I have many thoughts,
Okay.
none that I wish to share.
None that you wish to share? Okay.
No.
Wow.
I am just an agreeable man. I will say yes to anything
You're
as long as you.
breedable.
Yikes.
Unfortunate. You
Yeah,
guys.
unfortunate.
Look, I'm tired of talking about my country and the state that it's in. Can we talk about France instead?
You want to talk?
France is gone, dude. Listen, France just has a bunch of immigrants and pedophiles at this point. There's nothing else left.
Well,
that's all France is.
France. So personally, I think France maybe headed in a better direction, and maybe Europe in general. But they they did their parliament um, election recently, their first round, and it was mostly right wing people being elected. One of them being this chick who I think she was running for president the last time. And what she's like most known for on the stage, on the world stage, she was visiting a Middle Eastern country and she was going to meet with their prince or leader or some shit. And the assistant, not her assistant, but his or whatever, tried to give her a headscarf to cover her hair. And she fucked off. She said, "Nope, I'm not doing that," and she left. And a lot of people praised her for that, standing up for her right to show her hair and head. um, but yeah, so she's obviously very right and against. Not I don't know about against the culture, but she is a very far right leader.
She sounds
And
very Islamophobic. I think she's very Islamophobic. I think she needs to respect their religion, even
you
if.
can't shoot. You can't play both sides, dude. What are you doing? You gotta pick one. Remember?
Listen. She sounds She sounds Islamophobic. I'm sorry to say. She needs to respect their religion, and as much as I like Israel, you do still have to respect people's religion, right? Not to say that Israel is against the Muslim people, but just that they are in disagreement currently.
You don't have to respect other people's religion.
That's true. I don't think the Mayans should have been tossing babies into
Islam,
volcanoes. But that's
Islam
just
is a
me.
very holy religion. It's a very peaceful religion, and it preaches about very important concepts. I think if you read
Yeah, like
about
what? What
Muhammad,
concepts?
if you read about Muhammad and his story, you will find that there's a lot of enlightenment there.
Like what? Do share with the class, please.
Um, I
Okay, yeah, we're
personally,
moving on. We're moving
I,
on. I'm not sticking around for
I
this.
personally am not Muslim, but I think it's important. I'm just it's important to not be Islamophobic and to be accepting of all Muslim people.
Hmm. You know what's just to deviate a little bit from the shithole that is France. Sorry, French.
I mean, it was shit before and it's shit now. To be honest, nothing's changed.
Oh, you know what's so crazy is there's this YouTuber named Kurt Kaz, and he travels the globe. And he goes to like the most desolate places on Earth. Um, and what's so wild to me is how far spread Christianity is. Muslim kind of spreads pretty far too, but or Islam. Sorry,
Islam,
my bad,
don't be Islamophobic.
my fault, dude. The whiteness is
It's
showing.
okay.
But Christianity, like he'll go into like the middle of fucking nowhere, like some random tribe that's never seen a white man, and like Papua New Guinea or the deepest parts of the jungles of Venezuela, and like Christianity will be there, dude, and not only be there, but it's been there for like 400 years. Like it's always so wild to me how far in the globe that like Christianity has reached. I feel like it's reached every corner of the globe.
I think they are false Christians. I think they're fake.
Oh, they're not real.
They're not real. Well, when was the last time you heard about a crusade in that area?
Are you just
When was the
a
last time you heard about
Are you just a contrarian? Is that what's going on here?
Doug? Wait, you didn't really necessarily say anything negative or positive about either Israel or about Islam. So listen, I'm not a contrarian here. I'm just providing my opinion on the subject, my
Okay,
perspective.
my bad.
And
Sorry,
my
keep going.
perspective is that the Christians in that area are not true Christians. They're just pseudo Christians. They haven't done any crusades. Nothing holy has been fought over in that land. Now, when it comes to Islam, it's a totally different story. There's been a lot of holy fights been going on in the last 40 years. And I
There's
think,
been a lot of holy fights fought since the dawn of time. What do you? Not just 40 years, my friend.
listen, the Christians, they are peaceful and everything, and they are nice, but they do not follow the proper religion.
Which is the proper one? Which one's the proper one? Sorry.
Moving on, I don't think Christians should be allowed to crusade in that area.
Mm. Well, in terms of Venezuela, and South America in general, it's actually I think it was the Germans who brought Christianity there. I might be wrong, but I believe it was the Germans.
Well, the
Um,
Germans are racist, so
Huh. Are you trying to say something?
Yeah, I think they should continue to be paying off their debt for what they did in World War II.
You know that's how World War II started. It was them paying off debts for World War One.
And they need to keep paying it off.
Oh,
Paying
okay.
it off. Keep paying it off. They
Gotcha.
need to they need reparations for Israel. Each Israeli citizen needs to receive reparations from Germany at this
You know,
point.
the really funny part is like Germany does their best to defend Israel pretty much no matter what now because of I mean I assume it's the guilt. They feel like there's no way they can. A lot of what they do on the international stage now is defined by the Nazis during World War
Let's
II.
be honest. Germany will never be able to repay their debt. They will need to continue repaying their debt for the rest of time. 6 million people died. No one's going to forget that. That was a Holocaust against the Jewish people. That will never be forgotten. They will always need to repay their debt until the German people no longer exist.
Wow, interesting.
Yep.
Are you
They
guys?
should.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Uh, do you guys hear about El Salvador's president? Do you know about him? The world's coolest dictator.
Oh, the guy that reduced the crime rate in the country.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. Is he right or left?
He's like mega far right, I'm pretty sure.
I guess
All
yeah,
right,
you'd
listen. I
technically
don't
consider him
agree
far
with
right.
the El Salvador's president's policies. I'm just going to say that right off the bat. I think he's lying about the crime rate that has supposedly dropped by 70%. I don't think his policies against his own people are helpful. I think
They
it's
love him.
anti-Hispanic.
His
It's
people love him.
anti-Hispanic. I disagree. I think showing a
They
small
love him.
minority of people in front of his palace praising him is not good enough.
They
Everyone has
love him.
followers.
They love him. He cleaned up. He cleaned up the country by pretty much throwing everyone in jail. Um, and now he's
So
initiated. Sorry, go ahead.
He's a fascist. He's a fascist far right dictator. He is a white supremacist.
So he did not run with either the left or right political party who had won every election. One of the two had won every election prior to that. He ran as an independent candidate. He is considered to have started as a Marxist Leninist, but is now considered a right wing populist.
Yep,
Interesting.
exactly. He's a fascist white supremacist. I would expect nothing less.
Well, so anyways, El Salvador had a gang problem. He comes into control. He rounds them all up, throws them all in prison.
Or kills them, one of the two.
Or kills them. Yeah, sure, whatever. And now he's initiated a new policy. I forget what he's calling it, but he's going to make those prisoners. Oh, it's called fuck, it's like no free ride or some shit. And basically he is going to make them work while they were serving out their sentences. They're gonna cook for themselves. They're gonna farm for themselves. They're gonna clean up the country. Uh, so I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. This guy.
That's incredibly fascist and dictatorial. So I think the United States needs to step in and stop this this quote unquote president from doing very much not presidential things like making them do forced labor. We abandoned slavery very long ago, and we still need to pay reparations for those. And I think slavery that is alive and well in El Salvador needs to be stopped at all costs. I do not think we should see this racist action being, forced upon by a white supremacist occur again.
He's not white.
He is white.
He's not white. He's not white. I'm 100% sure he's not white.
Listen,
I don't even think he likes our current president. Every time they talk about Biden, he like makes fun of him. Most of the
listen,
world makes
exactly.
fun of our current.
Listen. Biden is for the LGBTQ people. Okay, he is an ally. Obviously, this guy, I don't know what issue he has with Biden, but Biden is an ally, and he doesn't like Biden for whatever reason. Listen, that's fine. But from what you've told me, he's a fascist dictator. He's like Hitler all over again.
Interesting.
I don't quite think he's like Hitler, but that doesn't mean he's not a dictator. I mean, he self-identifies, calls himself the world's coolest dictator. Like that is his nickname for himself.
I bet that's what Hitler called himself too. People loved Hitler, and
I
look
think
what
he
he
called
did.
himself Führer, but that's
He
besides
killed
the
6
point.
million Jews, Ryan. 6 million Jewish
Yes,
people
that's
died
not.
because of.
We're not
Are you
talking.
going to? What are you going to do if,
What is
if
your
this happens
obsession
again?
with Hitler in Germany right now? What is going on? What is your problem?
Also, just because like it was just a point of like neither of you knew. So he descends from Palestinian Arabs. However, his father, grandparents were Palestinian Christians who immigrated to El Salvador from Jerusalem and Bethlehem in 1921. His maternal grandfather was Greek Orthodox, and his maternal grandmother was Roman Catholic.
Wow.
Sounds like he descends straight from Hitler. There is some theories that say that Hitler moved to Argentina. Sorry, I'm still sick.
Speaking of Argentina, thank you for that. Malay, for the first time in 30 years, they have not seen inflation rise. Malay is actually Ryan, you're probably better explaining this one who Malay is.
Who Malay is? He is like, how do I explain it? So he's like the one libertarian who's like ever won like an important election. So he gets compared to Trump a lot because he, again, didn't really run with the political crowd. He kind of ran as like this. He ran with the party, but he was like a populist. He's a businessman who his big thing was that he wanted to rein in inflation and he wanted to privatize a lot of industries that had been owned by the state in Argentina and were accused of being really corrupt, floundering, not making money, contributing to inflation, whatever. So he's been president for a few months now. He just passed a big bill that's supposed to help rein in inflation, help privatize a lot of the businesses that he wanted, and he did so after a few months of fighting. Like it was a pretty contentious passage of the bill, but eventually he got through, even as a lot of people in the country are protesting, because he pretty much said from the get-go that, hey, this is going to, like, what does he call it? He said they needed shock therapy pretty much in order to fix Argentina's economy and rein in inflation. Like, he inherited an economy that had triple-digit inflation,
Yeah.
which is abysmally terrible and bad. He's reined that down to double digits. I think this last month was the first month in like years
30.
where the price of food hadn't gone up.
Yeah.
So there's signs that like the measures that they're putting in place is at least instilling confidence in the economy and helping do some good things, but it still does suck, right? Because like, you know, you're not just printing out free money. Some people obviously aren't getting money now because of that, and it's going to take some time for things to kind of even out, work out. But this big bill, we'll see how it works because, you know, this, like I said, this is the first time that like a libertarian's like really been in like a position of power to like influence policy to this level. And if his he's you know, not doing as much as he said he wanted to do during the campaign trail, he's had to obviously compromise a bit. But if he's able to get some of his policies in and they work, that's going to have some interesting implications for other people, not just, or other countries, not just in South America, but potentially worldwide.
Yeah.
That's the rundown.
Yeah. No, that was great. That was a great summary. You covered everything, and it's probably like one of the most interesting experiments in terms of like leadership that we've seen on a large scale. I this might give me a little flack, but one of the things I kind of like Trump for is that he's closer to libertarian than we've seen from a lot of other
I disagree.
candidates.
Nope.
You shut up, dude. I'm tired of you, dude. You're pissing me off. I'm done with you, dude. I'm done. I'm
Well-
done. I'm done with you, okay? Trump he comes off as very libertarian. And I think a lot of that comes from both sides kind of not wanting to associate with him. Um, and so maybe a lot of his backers are kind of people who don't really support either party, but the whole return control to the states, the whole decreased federal government, you know, that whole thing that's pretty libertarian. And he one of the reasons I like him is the libertarian policies. But Malay is one of the first, you know, actual libertarian politicians that have come to power, and it's kind of like a really big experiment where things in that in Argentina were always going to be worse before they got better because the previous leaders have just dug themselves such a big asshole. So
It's also
yeah,
a huge shift because the previous administration had been I think, hold on, I gotta check to make sure They were definitely doing a lot of dealings with China. Like they were leaning from like basically America's sphere of influence into China's. I can't remember if they were a part. I don't think they signed on to Belt and Road Initiative, but they were considering it. And then Malay is like staunchly pro-American. Like his first visit out of country was to Washington D.C. He wanted to meet with like American politicians and business leaders. Looking to drum up. Obviously, a part of that is going to drum up private investment for his country, which desperately needs it. But yeah, he loves America
Yeah,
as he should.
as he should.
You're not,
Hey, yes, as
you're
he
not talking
should.
about Trump, are
It's like
you?
it's like the deep it's like like it's like the meme of like people who's like I love America, I just maybe don't love the government, you know? It's
Yeah.
like when people talk good about America, it's like yeah, and then when they talk good about the government, they're like oh.
Yeah.
Listen, America is the best, the strongest country. Listen, the government has been doing its best to keep its people happy and taken care of and well fed. Listen, we should trust the federal government. And Trump is a neo Nazi. That's what he is. He is a straight up neo Nazi. He's trying to impose Nazi policies again. And we cannot let him, as a fascist, take over this country again. And it won't happen. Biden will win this election.
My camera's fritzing, but you
What'd you do? Did you fucking spit on it or what?
I
Hawk Tua? Did you give it
Oh
Hawk
my
Tua
God.
treatment?
I hawked to it, yeah.
Damn, nice. No wonder it's
Um
fritzing out. Damn.
yeah. No. Whatever. It doesn't really, it doesn't matter that much whether or not he's libertarian or not, but I
I
myself
think it matters a little bit. I think it matters a little bit.
He's a neo Nazi. He's what he is. He's a
Oh
fascist.
my god. You and the
He's a
neo-Nazi.
white supremacist fascist neo Nazi.
yeah. Okay. Well, hey, whatever you think is what you think, buddy. It's okay. That's fine. Um but yeah, I don't know. It's cool to see Malay kind of pull off some shit that he said he was going to do, and hopefully Argentina keeps moving in a positive direction. Um, it would just be really cool to see a libertarian kind of succeed, because yeah, I don't know. I reflect. I like libertarian ideology. I think it's cool. I think it's good for
You
people.
would think it's cool.
What the hell does that mean? What?
Oh, if you know, you know.
I
What?
think
What does that mean?
libertarian policies are just left wing policies.
No, dude, the political spectrum works like this. You have right, sorry, you have left, you have right, and then you have libertarian down here and authoritarian up here. You can be a left wing libertarian, you can be a right wing libertarian. For example, a left wing libertarian might be the people who support abortion. Okay, right wing libertarians would be people who are into freedom of speech. You can be a libertarian and left and right.
Listen.
All
People on the left also believe in freedom of speech. They
right,
believe that you
yeah,
can.
sure. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Like I said, you could be a
Okay.
libertarian, you could be left and right. That
All right, cool.
doesn't.
So we agree on something.
Yeah,
Excellent.
libertarian is just at the bottom. It just means that's you just believe in freedom. Not a big deal.
Yeah. I can agree with that. Yeah.
Cool. Glad we found some common ground. Fucking
Exactly.
whack job.
Listen, we do need to be careful though about our language. Our language could potentially impact the future of how society goes, not just in terms of what we say, but how we say it. Whether it be on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, we have to support the policies being imposed by the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party is doing everything in our best interest. I don't think the
What
Republican
policies are they opposing?
they are opposing fascism that's trying to grow alive and well in this
What,
country.
for example?
The Republican
What the hell, you idiot? I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Yeah, you're sick in the head. It's fucking grown into an infestation in your brain cells. Who knows when it'll end?
But the Republican Party is just trying to take the money from the people. That's all they're trying to do.
In what way?
Trump is still as Trump is sending out emails asking for $5 donations. He's a
Yeah.
millionaire. I've received these emails in my spam inbox.
Trump, why are you sending us emails asking for $5? What the hell is
Exactly.
that about?
He wants money to fund his white supremacist organization, and the Democrat Party is not going to let it happen.
Yeah, they're gonna
Biden may
stop
not
it.
be Biden may not be in the best health, but Kamala Harris is the next runner-up, and she will take care of this country. She will be the first female president, and it will be a step forward for progressivism.
Interesting. Very interesting. I do kind of look forward to what is it, September? Is that when things September? There's a conspiracy that's when uh Biden will get sick and step down or some shit, and then they will announce someone else to run instead of him.
Gavin poops him.
Yeah, Gavin Poopsum. That guy's such a clown. My God.
It will more than likely be Kamala Harris,
I
and as well it should be. As well it should be.
assuming he steps down in some fucking fantasy world, yes, I think it would also be Kamala. However, she has taken such like a backseat to everything. I know more about their press secretary than I do Kamala Harris, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's
Kamala
because every
Harris is
time
a
she
good
opens her
woman.
mouth, she sounds like a fucking moron.
She's a
Kamala
good
Harris has said some stupid shit. Like,
She's a
not just
good
like
person with good intentions.
she doesn't just like say controversial things. Like, it'd be one thing if they made sense, but like they just sound like so like just stupid. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, go look up some of Kamala Harris's best moment highlights, and you'll see what I mean.
Just
You'll
say
all do
you're a
yourself a favor.
misogynist, Ryan. Just say you're a misogynist.
I'm not a misogynist. Not at all. Not at all.
Kamala Harris is pretty funny to watch. I'm not gonna lie, it's true. You're right.
We shouldn't be
I love the
laughing at
whole like do
women. We
not
should be
come
trying
one.
to build women up. We
Do
should
not
not come.
laugh at women.
Do
No.
not. I love the mashup of her and Trump. God.
She
Ah,
might be the
dude.
most forgettable VP I think we've ever had.
I
You should
disagree. I disagree. I think
Mike Pence
Michelle
was.
Obama
You think
may
Mike
actually
Pence
run
was?
as well.
Yeah, Mike Pence was super forgettable. He did fuck all. Like, he was just
Fair.
quiet and angry the whole time. Kamala Harris, like, at least when she opens her mouth, it's like funny, you know? Like when she's talking about how like the NCAA women's tournament like has never had a bracket before, and it's like, hey, you know that like they've had a bracket in their tournament since like the 80s, right? Like, what do you mean? Like, she just tries to like make these stupid fucking points. It's like, did you like fact check yourself? Like, do you not have aides that like try to verify the dumb shit you're gonna say before you step on camera, or like do you just think that you're a brilliant person and can just say this random shit off the cuff? Because like I feel like the reason she's been so quiet recently is because she finally got smacked around up for it. That like she's just like, okay, maybe I can't say this shit because the internet will tear me a new one every time I do, because it happens all the time. It's the
Fair.
same thing with the White House press secretary, though. That's why they kind of brought in the new guy after a while, right? It's because they wanted to like, have a few days where like, you know, they tried someone different who like didn't say things about like how like, oh, barbed wire like doesn't hurt anyone or whatever,
Oh God.
right? Or isn't that what she was saying? Like,
The
oh,
only
barbed wire
people-
isn't meant to keep people out. It's
No.
like, what do you mean?
The only people that are against Kamala Harris's policies and what she's done are incels. Incels
She doesn't even
are,
have policy. She's the vice president. She just like exists and says dumb things.
are we going to ignore the Green New Deal?
Yes, we are.
Why are we ignoring that?
Is
Is it
it's
not a good
dumb?
policy? No, it's a great policy. It's an excellent policy that was proposed, and I think she did a good job in supporting it. And I think the people that disagree with her are just incels that are mad on the internet.
Oh,
They're just
boy.
basement dwellers that live with their mother.
I think
I'm neither of those things.
I think Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has spent more time talking with foreign leaders than that woman Kamala. I'm
Well,
pretty
that's fine
sure.
because she's vice president, so he should be talking to foreign leaders more than she is.
Really, is
Like,
that not a
she's-
job for your VP? Don't you send your VP?
I mean, you
and
can
just say-
designate the VP to go to foreign dignitaries, but like Blinken he's Secretary of State, no?
Yeah, Secretary of State Anthony.
Yeah, he's like that's his job is to like lead American foreign policy, so he should
No.
be meeting with foreign leaders
Hey,
more.
fair
But
enough.
like Secretary of State is like your kind of like heavy hitter, right? Like you have your president who's like super head, like when you need head of state discussions. Then you have like your Secretary of State who's like basically the number two guy. If you want to try to like seem super tough, you send your Secretary of Defense. VP is like, like I mean, like the president couldn't show up, but like we sent our VP. But like some countries like take it as an insult if the VP goes instead of Secretary of State or President. An
Interesting.
example of that would be like for example, if a country um had like a inauguration and the United States did not send Joe Biden, instead it was Kamala Harris, they would view that as a huge insult because they're like, oh, we weren't important enough for your president.
Mm.
Like you sent your vice president who like doesn't do anything. You know
I mean,
that's the thing.
she does stuff. She's valuable. She's a valuable member of the cabinet. I think Kamala is very important and integral to our government.
In what way?
I'm glad you think so, Braden. I'm
In
super
what
glad.
way? And in what way and why do you feel that way? Please tell me. I'm curious.
Listen, she's the first female, or actually, I'm sorry, she's not the first. She has the potential to become the first female president, and we need to support her as much as possible. We should not be harassing her or judging her based on her policies. We need
So
to
we're
be
not
uplifting her.
nobody's harassing her here. All right, we're
The
criticizing.
incels.
That is my God-given right as an American. Okay.
Listen. The criticism towards Kamala is unjust and unfair. She's doing the best job she can, and she's struggling with a
Oh,
president.
yeah, she is struggling. That's
She is
true.
struggling with a president whose health is failing. Okay, we need to
Oh,
be sympathetic and supportive instead of being on the incendiary and
I think we need to get them the hell out of our office if they're both struggling.
I'm
What
also
the
gonna
hell?
say like, look, yeah, it's great that she's trying her best and all, but that doesn't mean that you're like above criticism. Just saying. Like,
it
oh,
doesn't
Trump is
mean.
trying his best. Does that mean I can't, criticize Donald Trump?
I mean,
Hitler
Trump
tried his
isn't
best.
trying.
Should I fucking not criticize Hitler or what?
No,
We know how much
Trump
you
is
love
trying to
Hitler.
impose fascist policies. Trump is trying to impose. Yeah, but
Oh my God.
Like
That-
what? Like what?
that-
Like which one? Tell me which one. Which one? Tell me. Please. Which one of his policies is fascist?
listen, he is trying to.
I love. Uh, you all right there?
He's dying.
I got tears in my eyes. Oh my god.
Hopefully.
He is trying to genocide the Mexican people in our
He's trying to
that's
genocide them?
he is trying to kill he is trying to use ICE as a means to potentially kill the Mexican people that are within America. They're true born Americans and he's trying to murder them. Helpless
Really?
innocent Mexican people.
That is no.
That's
All right,
interesting.
all right. That's
he's
it.
trying
If we're
to
going down
he's
this rabbit hole, I think we're at a good place.
This is
to
it's not a
begin.
rabbit hole. It's not a rabbit hole. It's
Let's-
not a conspiracy theory.
let's jump away from politics and let's move on to AI. Starting with Neuralink. Do you guys know what Neuralink is?
Yes.
We've talked about it on the show before. Do you not listen to your own episodes?
No, I don't really listen to them, but I think
Oh
we
my
talked. I
God.
think we talked about it before Braden was here. Either way, I'm going to explain what it is for people who don't know. So, quit being a bitch, okay?
Whoa,
Go ahead and
hey.
explain it. Go
So,
ahead and explain it. Ryan is a
Neuro-
bitch. I can agree. We can all agree on
right?
that.
Like, what the hell, dude? Dude.
I mean, he doesn't talk most of the time anyway. He only talks when someone else says something, and then it's like only if it's like something like offensive or like stupid he thinks, and then he starts talking.
Oh. Well,
He wants to feel
Neuralink
smart.
is this it's this coin-sized chip, and they rest it pretty much on top of your brain, and it has these really thin threads that
It is
can they enter your brain, different areas of the brain depending on what they want. But right now, it's for
It doesn't just enter directly through your brain. It enters through the vessels around, or like the veins around your brain.
okay.
It's a
And-
brain-computer interface.
Yes, it's a brain-computer interface. So it interprets the signals in your brain, and transforms them into computer language. So basically, it allows you to communicate with a computer, or for the computer to read your brain. And the first patient or recipient of Neuralink went on to the Joe Rogan podcast and he talked about his experiences. He was also given like some interviews and stuff. But yeah, so right now it's in human trials and it's being used for quadriplegics and hopefully what they're going to do is they're going to put one on the brain and the motor cortex here at the top, and then the other one will be somewhere along the spine, wherever the severed part is. So that way you can close the communication gap. So, anyways, if you haven't seen or heard about it, it's really cool. The guy was talking about how he got to play Civ, and one of the first things he did was play Civ for like all night long. But yeah, I mean, it was really interesting to watch. But they had a really good discussion about kind of the future of the technology. The way it works is essentially the it'll map the neural activity of the brain to like what it is you want to happen. So normally, when you think, you hey, move my left arm, right? Your motor cortex here at the top, it activates and you move your left arm. So the the threads kind of rest in the vessels or around the vessels, and then the person will sit there and think, okay, wiggle my pointer, and then the computer understands that that's what it is you want to do, and then it can map that particular activity to, say, moving the mouse left or right, whatever. And they just do that over a long period of time. They use AI to do it. But yeah, it was really cool. The advancements they've made have been insane. It's open source, so pretty much any company can kind of catch up really quick to them, and it's been great progress. He was just saying that like he played a whole ass video game all night long. And obviously you guys are familiar with Civ, but
I think it's a security concern. I think if people have this, I mean, it's good for people that are like paralyzed, obviously, as long as they aren't, you know, veterans of the Iraq War where they killed innocent Muslims, obviously. But other than that, I think it's good to help out people that are unable to move their limbs, or to be able to do basic stuff like quadriplegics, paraplegics, and whatnot. I think that's very good. However, I do think it's a security concern because it does have the potential to be hacked, and you could, convince or make people's, use people's brains as a method for doing various illegal activities. So I do have issues with that.
so it yes and no. Like at most, what it can do right now, it's one way. So it's interpreting your brain to computer. So I mean, like it would be kind of pointless. It'd be like hacking someone's phone to then gain access to the computer when you could just hack their computer. They did talk about how eventually it could be a concern, but at this point, with how rudimentary it is, there's not really that much of a possibility. One of the really cool concepts he was talking about was how eventually he's gonna be able to play shooters, and he basically has aimbot already because
Yeah,
this.
I saw that. Yeah,
Yeah. Isn't there? So I mean, he immediately brought up the concept that they'll probably have to have two separate tiers of competition in video games,
yeah.
where one of them would be people with augmented brain chips or just that cyborgness, and the other
You
one.
mi- Real quick, though, do you mind if I kind of explain like what aimbot is and why he
Oh yeah.
says that his Neuralink is like it? So an aimbot, for those that don't know, is a program in a traditionally like a shooter game that allows you to like automatically aim so that you'll always like hit your target. So instead of like moving the joystick and like aiming down your sights and having to manually target an opponent, it'll like automatically do it for you. He says that what he has is like that because normally when you play a shooter, like if Dougie and I are facing off in Call of Duty and he's running around, I have to, move my joystick, put the gun in the right way, account for recoil, pull the trigger, do all this stuff, and it requires a lot of not only mental signals to my body, but my body has to then, in a timely fashion, use hand-eye coordination to appropriately target fire. And I may miss because there's a lot of human error in that. Whereas this brain computer interface, the Neuralink that the guy uses, basically will take the middle steps out of that equation where basically his brain will think, I want to shoot there, and the game will just automatically shoot there. There will be no human error. It will go exactly where he wants it to go. There's no human error. Well, there's limited human error. It won't be exactly perfect because, like, he could still be like, oh, I want to shoot there, and, like, maybe he shoots, like, a little too far forward or a little behind you, but, like, his body doesn't have to interpret the signals. Time isn't passing as it's going on, etc. There's like a lot less room for error, which is why he's saying that this is like a sort of unfair competitive advantage.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, the tools for this, or the applications for this, is kind of crazy. Not just obviously the ability to directly interact with um, computers, but also with other neural links. So right now it's resting in the motor cortex, but there's no reason that it can't also, do the spot at where there's hearing in the temporal lobe or the occipital lobe in the back where it comes to vision. I mean, the applications for this are so crazy, and again, they're I think it's about the size of a quarter. They're a little bit thicker, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. So one of the concepts they talked about was, would you, as a citizen, like a regular person, would you want this? Because no, you're shaking your head.
No,
No,
no, I would not.
no.
I don't think anyone except for people that are paralyzed should get something like this. I think, um, once again, it is a security concern. People do have the potential to be hacked. Things can go wrong, um, and I wouldn't suggest that anyone put this device inside of their body.
Interesting. And you, Ryan, would you want a neural link in your brain? There are eventually there's a theory. I mean, it's pretty obvious that you won't need something even at. I mean, this is not that invasive, but something this invasive. Eventually, you could probably just wear something that sits outside the skull, um, and you won't even need something that to be, something that goes under the skull. But for now,
It's theoretical that you could do that, yes. However, the technology is arguably well advanced, or we may not have the materials necessary for it because the reason it has to go like in your skull is because it needs like direct contact or like to be in close proximity with your brain in order to basically uh, get the electric signal that your brain is putting out. Like when you tell your body to move your arm, that's an electric signal that like travels down your nerves. And this device is basically taking that signal and basically saying, "Oh, well, like this signal is trying to tell your body to move your mouse here. So like instead of you moving your mouse, we're going to just move your cursor on the computer screen." And other similar things. And so like the technology could be more advanced. So Neuralink, their stated company goal is to just like help people who either have prosthetics or have like bodily injuries that prevent them from using everyday devices to be able to use them. It's like basically Bluetooth for your brain that allows you to connect to like all your devices and use them. It's not meant at the moment for a normal person to be able to use it, even though theoretically you could. But then there comes like the risk, right? So like this guy that they have it in, right? Like he can't move his arms anyway. Like he couldn't use a computer screen if he wants to. So like the signal they're interpreting from his brain like doesn't have like a it's not like his limbs are flailing around when he's doing it, right? Like they don't move on their own anyway because of his condition. Whereas like if you had it in me, if I said like, "Oh, I want to click on the computer screen over there," like my arm would be like moving to move my mouse or like it risks that like my body is moving along with that stimuli and like that's going to cause some problems. So like I don't even think that like I could use that device as intended even if I wanted to, but assuming that that wasn't even a problem, I think that it would just depend on the entire functionality of the device because like having something that's like so close to your brain that could be tampered with by people you don't want to tamper with it, I think would be like a pretty big danger. I don't know if I would accept that risk for the convenience of like not having to move across my couch to get the remote or something, you know?
but there's
Like,
a lot of other applications that it could be used for. So like it doesn't have to be placed in like in the motor cortex. It could be placed in the back of your brain, where you're
that
like,
would still like I think any convenience that such a device could offer me, like that computer chip, right, can overheat or like not even if it's like an accident. Like let's say like if it is basically Bluetooth connecting to other devices, that means that like something else can connect to it that you don't want to theoretically, just like things can connect to our phones or can get on our phones that we don't want in there, right? So like that could make its way on there, could like overheat the chip, melt my fucking brain, could explode the
but
fucking
you
wires
carry your
stuck in
phone
there.
on you. Your phone could explode and fucking pop a hole in your hip. Like you carry your
Yeah,
phone
it's
on you
true, but
already.
it's also like not in my skull, right? If my phone blows up in my pocket, maybe like I get like a skin burn or something, but like if my brain computer interface fucking malfunctions, my brain is melting, you know? That's a little bit different.
Okay, fine. Well, Okay,
It is.
yes.
It's a legit.
It's
I
not.
think
It's
that's a
just.
legit concern. It may not be probable, but it's possible. And
It's
like
not safe or
again,
secure. It should only be used for people that are disabled to be able to use
Wow,
the
I
link
cannot
again.
believe I am in the minority here. I think I would do. I think I would get one. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I think I would get one. I think
I can't. I can't agree with that.
that's fair. But I don't know. I like the idea of being able to have that speed. I think it's so wild. I want to be able to interact with things a lot faster. But yeah,
I
fair
mean,
enough.
like it. I mean, like it offers cool capabilities, and like there's more in potentially in the future that like a device like this could do. Um, that may maybe change my opinion, but just like again, I have working hands and arms and things like that. Like I don't need this device to like play Civ, like playing Civ requires like no fucking effort on my part to
What if
beat your
it
ass.
what if it gave you to talk to people like telepathically?
So it definitely could do that. Um I don't think
No.
that I would want
No,
that because like
No.
again, I can just fucking have headphones in and that's like almost the same thing. And
Yeah.
again, it's not in my brain, doesn't carry that risk.
it's fair. It's fair. But I think the concept is pretty cool, and I
I
think
mean,
as it gets ironed out,
have you seen the memes of like people that are like, "Oh, I'm gonna prank my friends by dropping like a terabyte of like hentai on them as they're like, trying to like sleep through their Neuralink and stuff." It's like, oh my god,
Yeah. I
that'd be
mean, I'm sure there's
terrible.
some people that would already do that.
yeah,
Yeah, true. Just the trolls that there's trolls everywhere. Like they'll troll people over the most pedantic random shit, and I don't
They're
need some
just
random
incels.
fucking
They're
dude.
incels on the internet. They're just incels. Yeah.
it's fair. But the concept's pretty cool, and even just now in its like practical application of helping quadriplegics and paraplegics in the future, I think that the guy was saying that they're probably about 10 years out. I think it's way quicker than that with how much progress they've made already. Um, they're I mean like it's so in the early stages that like they've already kind of moved on from how to interpret the neuron activity in the brain. So I don't know. I think the ability for these people to interact with computers would be way faster than us, basically, once they iron that shit out. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Concept's pretty cool.
Have either of you ever read Red Rising or the series Red Rising?
No, but everyone,
We talked about it on one of our earlier episodes. Not that you would remember because you don't care about me or anything that I ever bring up.
I do,
But
True. True. True.
I
see,
do
Brandon agrees with
remember.
me.
What the hell?
All right, so in Red Rising, there's like a class of people that are like in charge of like piloting the massive starships that you need for like a military fleet, and they basically have brain computer interfaces that like link them up to the ship so that like they can like get the ship moving the way it needs to go, like activate the propulsion when they need to, like cyber defenses, like shield barriers and stuff like that. I could see like some military applications like that would be pretty daunting. Like, can you imagine like a site like two countries like cyber forces just sitting there in their chairs, just like eyes closed, like fighting in cyberspace with a bunch of ones and zeros, like trying to hack through the mainframe,
Oh yeah.
like,
Oh yeah.
ah, that's World War III right there. It's just legions of people that are like trying to get through each other's cyber wall.
All right, I lost that fight, dude. Hey, my bad, bros.
Ah,
hey,
sorry, I
hey,
nodded off there for a second.
hey,
Shit.
see ya. Yeah, hey, we lost that one. Hey, sorry, chief. Sorry. Hey, pass me the
Oh,
next one.
they're like sweating profusely, like, oh god, they broken through like Sector 8. It's like, what's that? Ah, that's where we keep like the personnel rosters. Ah!
You know
Stupid
what's kind of
pedantic.
interesting is I actually think I've kind of like come to a new conclusion when it comes to AI. I think the technology is going to peak a lot quicker than we think, and I think it's going to be a lot lower than what we think it's going. I mean, it'll be insane. It's already reached a level of insanity that like we couldn't have ever imagined. But I actually think that tech is going to peak a lot quicker than we think, and it's going to be a lot lower peak than people are currently theorizing. I think there may be a possibility that are more importantly than AI in terms of more human to human based interactions it'll be better if we just close the gap speed wise between our brains and computers versus AI
Okay.
directly using AI.
I I think people. This is something that like not a whole lot of people really understand yet. because most people don't really spend too much time thinking about it. Which is that, for example, my phone and my watch, my smartwatch, they have to operate on the same frequency, right? And this has many applications, like for example, my AirPods and my phone, they have to operate on the same frequency. That's what Bluetooth is, the Bluetooth frequency. And what people fail to understand is that there's so many different frequencies that can be utilized. And not only that, but batteries themselves, especially the one in my phone, have improved significantly over the past decade. And they're only going to get better as time goes on.
A lot better.
So a lot of the things that we do normally, like eventually we're not going to have, like most people just aren't going to have house keys anymore. It's just going to be your phone that uses like an NFC code that it sends out to the battery that's in your door. And the battery will be able to last like 5 years, and it'll be as small as the phone I have in my hand, right?
Car keys are already doing that too. Like
Mhm.
Tesla, like your phone can be your car key.
Yeah, and they're already doing things where they're adding your driver's license to your phone, where you don't need to provide a physical ID anymore. You can provide the ID that's on your phone.
Same
They
with
have that in
insurance
4
cards.
out of the 50 states currently.
Wow.
And eventually that's what's going to happen is most of the things that we do, like opening doors, going into certain buildings, setting up appointments, I should say signing in for appointments. Even and you've already seen it with paying for things with Apple Pay. Most of the stuff that we do nowadays are going to be done through a phone. There's not really going to be much of a need for keys at a certain point. A lot of the tools that we have in our pockets are going to become a lot more minimalistic. Batteries are going to get better, and things are going to last longer as a result. So things like Neuralink are going to become common for some people. There's going to be a lot of people that'll be against it, and then AI is going to be another huge thing where eventually the watch that's on our wrists will have an AI that can obviously a battery that can last a lot longer, and an AI that's going to be smart enough to help us out with daily stuff as if someone was sitting right next to us. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think it'll be here soon. I expect a rollout for autonomous AI in terms of basically AI just existing on your phone and like talking to you the whole time, or just being active the whole time. That'll roll
Yeah.
out at least by the end of this year. I kind of think it'll pop up this summer, or at least by the end of the summer. That's their goal. That's what they've said. They tend to
Yeah.
be like maybe 6 months early, give or take. But yeah, I think we'll see that very very soon. At least when it comes to the autonomous part, it'll. I mean, that's like the goal. That's like what these companies are all racing for as fast as possible is to get these things active. And like it makes sense. You'll just be able to, and again, I predict this will be out by the end of this year. You'll just pretty much talk to your phone to do whatever it is you want. You want to text somebody, you'll just sit there and say it without you probably press a button on your phone. It'll just be on, and you'll just say, hey, blah blah blah. You'll say your AI's name, and you'll say, hey, text Braden, tell him he's a loser. Yeah. and it'll just do it for you instantly, and then it'll message back, and it'll tell you the message. And we already kind of have that. Um, the misconception here is that they use programming for that activity, so it has to go through a lot more process, and it's never really correct. It's like using um code. It's using software and code to like try and interpret. It's never really accurate. It misunderstands what you're saying. It doesn't understand context. Um, it has to ask you like 10 times who the hell is Braden. You like it, the AI itself will kind of be able to sort this shit out. It'll write your message or listen to what you're saying, and even if you misspeak or you have an accent, it'll understand contextually what you were saying, and that it helps a lot. It'll understand that, oh, you talk to Braden 10 times a day, you're probably talking about that Braden, right? Like it'll
Yeah.
it'll be able to understand these things more intuitively like a human. It'll be on all the time, and for those of us who aren't really tech savvy, I think it'll really close that gap. And again, I think that'll be out easily by the end of this year. So yeah, 100%. And one of the things, okay, Apple, I cannot stand. However, one of the strongest one of the strengths of Apple compared to everybody else is the interoperability of their tech. Like your just everything about Apple, like they just work so well together. All of their hardware just works so well together. And it's like it's nobody's even close to that in my opinion. Samsung's not even close. Microsoft's not even close. I mean, I have like a phone link system on my computer, but like it's so
Both
fucking
products
terrible.
work very well together.
Yeah, and it's very user friendly. I think AI will help close the user friendly gap, but in terms of usefulness with the AI, the the hardware for Apple working so well together will be a really good strong point for them. Um, so, anyways, yeah, I look forward to it. I think it'll be awesome. I think people are gonna fucking love the shit out of it. Like, I think it'll be super great, especially for just for non-tech people who like struggle with operating technology. I think it'll help close that gap for them, and for everyone else, it'll just speed up the process pretty quick. So I don't know, it's my TED talk. However, uh, Amazon, we get to like quote unquote the bad part about AI, this stage of replacing jobs. So Amazon and they partnered with a robot company. I can't remember what the name of the robot company is, but they have kind of been at the forefront of replacing jobs as fast as possible. And they recently replaced, I think it was up to 750,000 jobs, uh, or they have up to this point replaced 750,000 jobs, human jobs, with I think it was like 100,000 bots or something, robots. Um, yeah, so there's obviously there's some positive and some negatives with this tech, and one of them is how quickly it's going to replace jobs. And Amazon obviously Amazon's Amazon, dude. They're gonna move. They're gonna be the first ones. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've a lot of it's warehouse work, and they have already kind of fully implemented. They are just fucking running rampant with replacing jobs as fast as possible. Um,
Yeah, I'm not really. I don't. I'm actually indifferent to AI. I really don't care. I don't use it in my day-to-day life at all. I never use AI. The only time I've used AI was when it needed to generate some images for something. I forget what it was, but I had to generate a few images, and that was the only time I've ever really used it. I think AI replacing jobs is good. It's a good thing. It means that people can focus more on their life and not have to worry so much about doing these really just zombie-esque jobs where people have to do the same monotonous things over and over. And the only real human being you need is the delivery drivers and the people that operate the AI that moves all the packages around. I think that's all you really need.
yeah, I mean, I think in the long run, you're it'll be really good. The hardest part will be the transition. But you're right. Like AI's its biggest strength is going to be replacing these monotonous jobs that nobody really wants to work in the first place. And I think a lot of people again theorize that it was going to replace all the jobs, but I completely disagree. I think it's going to peak at just taking the monotonous jobs that don't require any brain cells, and I think it'll be way more important for us to just communicate with computers more or less as fast as possible. Um, especially when it comes. Never mind, I forget. But especially when it comes to like the high powered thinking jobs, um, a lot of people have predicted AI is going to replace that. I don't think so. I really don't. I don't think we hit that like peak superhuman AI technology. That
Well, AI is supposed to be designed to be logical. So if you tell AI, "Hey, we have a so and so percentage of the population is sick. What should we do about it to make sure the rest don't get infected?" The AI will probably be like, "Kill the infected." You know
right?
what I mean?
No.
Yeah,
You're correct. I mean, but you're even just the moral argument is it's flawed. It'll never work because it doesn't understand the value of a human life. It can't.
correct. Yeah,
Um, but even outside that, I don't even think it'll ever give a good logical answer at a macro scale because it can't conceptualize things that it doesn't like outside its box. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Outside what it's trained on, it doesn't get it. It's impossible. It doesn't exist. And for us as animals, like living creatures, we kind of fill in the blanks with whatever we think. Basically, if
yeah,
you ask anyone on the planet, hey, what do you think is outside the universe? They'll probably give you an answer that might say
yeah,
I don't know, but a computer can't even say like I don't know. It can't conceptualize shit that exists outside its box. It doesn't get it, and part of that is intentional so that it doesn't break. They're like programmed to not even think about it. But it's just impossible for these machines to face the unknown. Like
yeah,
they literally cannot face the unknown, and we underestimate how much unknown there is. We think as like humans were so much smarter than fucking ants and stuff that we just know so much, but really like in an infinite universe, you really don't know much. You really don't. You probably know, in the grand scheme of things, as much as the ants do. And
Yeah.
it's the same with computers. They're not nearly as smart as we think they are. They're smart in terms of us. Like they get a lot. That's cool. We taught some rocks to think, but uh, I just think it's gonna peak really quickly. We'll use it to move our shit for us and do some basic jobs, deliver food, and that's great. You're right. It'll free up time for us to do anything else in our lives, whether it's fucking go to therapy, hang out with each other, maybe pursue some careers, whatever. Um, but yeah, that's been my kind of conclusion this past month is that I think this tech is gonna peak out really quickly, and you're right. It'll just be used to take over the monotonous jobs.
Yeah.
Uh,
100%.
Still
yeah.
gonna have to be something to deal with, right? Like, let's say
Oh
it
yeah.
takes over like every service job, right? Every McDonald's worker, every Walmart employee, every Amazon worker, like the workers, not like the corporate staff or whatever. If it does that, how many people are gonna be out of work? How do you like? It's not like some of them can just transition, right? Like they are too late in life to learn a new career path, or they'd be too much hardship, or they'd go too long without income.
Well, I
Like you're
mean, it's
gonna have to.
inevitable, so you're gonna have to figure something out.
Yeah, that's why
There
I
will be a
always
time
think that
period where people are gonna be homeless from it,
I I
obviously.
also I also kind of wonder, like, as anti-communist and anti-socialist as America can be sometimes, I wonder if like even the right would sort of cave into like a universal basic income or something, or like much more, or like a much more robust protection program for unemployed. I
Yeah.
think it would just depend on how much the government's like raking in from the AI stuff. If they're getting a lot of kickbacks and taxing those businesses or whatever, or maybe they even have a tax that's like, hey, if you have X amount of your work done by AI, then you have to pay this tax, and that's what we go and pay like your former employees with, or some bullshit. I don't know. There's a lot of ways it can go, but like I also kind of dread that transition period, because there's one thing I've realized about our government is that it doesn't seem to really work too fast on issues that don't immediately impact like the top, you know, 10, 1, whatever percent of our society. So I'm kind of wondering, how bad that transition period is going to be. And I hope that it's not bad. I really do. But I kind of wonder,
Oh, it will be
uh,
bad. It will be bad. People will be homeless. There will be a lot of people that will be homeless. A lot of people looking for work, and yeah, people will end up homeless. But that's just part of life.
So I am actually I this is so weird. I feel again a minority, but I'm actually really hopeful for this part. I think while I agree that normally the government's really slow, I don't know if there's some like bigger play at hand, but a lot of the tech leaders were really quick about coming up with ideas for this and letting the government know like, hey, look, this needs to be regulated, and here's some ideas for the future and use of this technology. And I think there's a lot of ways to deal with the transition. I think one of them very easily is like, oh, have has your job been replaced with AI? Fine, we'll help cover the costs. Maybe under like an expansion of the unemployment system. Like if you lost your job to AI, then the government will supplement it for however long a period, maybe forever. I don't know. How do you fund that? I think you're right that the right
just print more money.
well, okay, so here's my conspiracy theory. I think you just do the digital technocracy thing where you just go, oh, all our money's digital. Okay, we just permanently set it to being the value of one, and that just is what it is. You just pretty much all the West gets together. Can't even see the hat. It's so funny. All the West gets together and say, you know what? We can just say that $1 is $1. It's no pretty much take away free floating currency from the euro and the dollar and anyone else. And you just say it's just worth one, and it doesn't matter how much we print anymore because it's not printing. It's fucking fake. It's invisible. It's digital. Um, and you supplement the public work sector with just bots. I think that's kind of the direction we'll eventually move in. But again, it's just a
The
theory.
bot lobby, bot lobby, bot lobby.
Yeah, the bot lobby.
Well, then
Uh,
value will be determined based on quantity,
it it
not
it
based
won't.
on GDP.
Well, like the only thing that disqualifies the value of a currency is like opposition, right? So like if we in the West thought the yuan was more valuable than the dollar, then yes, that would drive down the value of the dollar. Um, or if we thought there was a great disparity between the euro and the dollar, right? Then yes, the dollar would drop in value. Or if there was an actual like tie-in for whatever backs the currencies, right? And like the dollar is backed by oil. That was like the big thing, and it kind of is and was. In general, free floating currencies are backed by your GDP, which is like how you value your economy is and how much you're exporting and importing. Blah blah blah. It's all a bunch of numbers, but like you could, as long as you didn't have competition, you could just get with your allies and say this is worth $1. Like no matter what, it's just worth $1. You could do that. It's not really worth gold anymore, right? It used to be backed by gold, so it doesn't actually have to have value. Ironically, the government can just say it is. It has value. That value is $1 is worth one, and as long as it's accepted by all the people that matter, which would be Europe and whatever, like Australia and fucking the UK and Japan and Korea, and it would solve a lot of the problems that they're all having. Or you can just back it with crypto or digital currency. That's another thing that'll
Or
probably
just print
happen
more
soon.
money. Okay.
Yeah, or we can just print more money. Fuck it. I mean, whatever. But the point is, there's a lot of solutions. I think all of these things are true in stages. I think we'll print more money. I think we'll then back it with a digital currency, and then I think we'll just say, hey, fuck it, it's worth one because why? The government said so. So, but either way, there's a lot of answers to like people losing their jobs to AI, and I think people haven't really caught on to how fast this is happening because it's going on behind the scenes. But Amazon's already about up to 1 million jobs replaced. Um, is it IBM? They're another one who has like put a pause on hiring people, and instead they're replacing them with bots. Hollywood is another one known with pretty much putting a pause on expanding studios. And is replacing them with AI.
Chipotle, I think, has an entire store that's run by I don't know if it's AI, but it's like automated sort of, you know, food makers.
Sure, I didn't know that, but yeah, I think that we'll see a lot of that in the next 5 years. I think the government will have to react quick. I think a lot of the tech leaders have put proposals in place that make a lot of sense. And ironically, like you were talking about socialism and communism, normally that shit doesn't work. This is actually an area where I think AI kind of works. So like it like supports is
Real communism's never been tried, bro. It'll be fine.
yeah.
We'll make it work this time. This time will be the time.
There's so
All
much
right.
irony, but like the one area that I think it supports is AI. Like it's so funny. I think AI like will lead to socialism and communism. It's so fucking funny to me.
All right. Any last thoughts, fellas?
Nope.
No, I think we had a good one. That was fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you both. It was fun chatting with you, talking through
Yeah.
some of the problems, talking about fascism. It's great.
Yeah. All right, see you
I
gentlemen.
wasn't the devil's advocate. I was the devil's prostitute.